Welcome back in IllinoisPrep.com. The second in our big team previews here. Team number 9, Skylar King, along with Lombard South legend Eric Seals.
You gotta let people know what the...
Yeah, Raiders. If you watched the last show, it wasn't for the Bowling Brick Raiders. It's for...
That's a good point.
The Lombard South Raiders.
Yeah,
Lombard South's in small area, so it could have been. Similar school colors between Bowling Brook and your alma mater. Our first two, sort of like Bowling Brook, a 5-5 year last year, and then our top 10. This next school, 9 state titles in school history. That's 7 more state titles than they had wins last year.
Ouch.
Providence Catholic made an appearance in our preseason top 10 last year.
Yep.
I think made an appearance in everybody's preseason top 10
Nobody
last
knew
year.
that was going to happen last year.
And really, fell on their face, unlike you really ever see the Catholic powerhouses when you talk about Providence and JCA and Mount Carmel, and in recent years, Montini, Mundelein, Carmel. And some of it was the schedule.
I think a lot of it was the schedule.
I mean, if you take a look at some of their losses, Joliet Catholic, 25-13 at JCA, 21-7 at home to Loyola, who made a run to the 8A semifinals. A 16-14 opening loss to Morgan Park, who ended up being a 10-win team, but we didn't know it at the time. And, I mean, Brother Rice, 1 possession loss at Brother Rice. I think probably the biggest goose egg was a 17-7 loss to Fenwick.
Yep.
Probably not one of those schools in that conference you'd think they would normally used to. 31-19 loss to Rita, who proved to be a really good team, beat that Carmel team you liked so much last year.
Yep.
And then 35-0 at Gately to Mount Carmel in that finale. I mean, at that point, you know the season's over.
That's what I'm saying. Even at the Fenwick game, you have a team that's used to, a lot of success, and you start to get in the middle of the season, and you're losing to teams that you haven't lost to in 30 years, and it just changes the whole mindset of that high school player. So by that time, what I'm looking at the schedule becomes less important.
Right. So talking about that schedule, some of the big things to look at here. No Joliet Catholic on the schedule.
Nope.
There's an extra win.
Yep.
They open with Morgan Park again. I mean, there was probably a little sleeping on Morgan Park in that opener last year.
Well, that game last year, seeing it at Soldier Field, I don't even want to say it could go either way. I feel like Providence lost that game instead of Morgan Park winning that game. And so going back, I think they're going to, step up to the plate and be like, you guys shouldn't even got close to beating us. And it really shouldn't have happened. I think a fumble happened late in the game and it kind of changed possession. And so, no, I don't think that, especially that game, that one shouldn't have happened.
In week 2, they replaced Joliet Catholic with Minooka. I think that's probably a win. Week 3, they get St. Lawrence, who they beat 30-0 last year.
Yep.
That should be 3-0. Then you got Loyola.
Yeah, I think that'll more likely that probably be another loss.
I mean,
Loyola is looking pretty decent this year.
I think Loyola not going to make an appearance in our top 10.
Nope.
But if you look at the last couple years, John Howasek has lost 19, made the semis, lost 17, and when I'm saying that number, that means starters, and made the semis. This year, they're only losing 15 guys.
Oh, so they should be pretty good to go.
Man, that's having all their starters back.
I mean, we've seen that program. We know they're turning around, but if anything, it's going to be a nail biter. But we'll put that down as a loss. Yeah.
I mean, that is at Providence. At Brother Rice, I got to, excuse me. At St. Rita.
Okay.
Rita's going to be, they lost a lot of talent.
Yeah.
I think that could be a win. I think they beat Brother Rice at home. Lake Forest Academy, that's got to be a win. St. Ignatius, that's got to be a win. And then they close with Mount Carmel again.
Yep.
Probably a loss.
Mount Carmel, St. Rita, and Loyola are going to be,
right.
And even if they lose those and go 6-3, the thing that we thought is they're going to go into the playoffs. And how many teams in 6A are going to be able to play with that type of talent?
Bingo. That was one of the biggest.
That's still your thunder?
No, to me, I think that was one of our biggest rationales last year.
Yep.
Was this is the best team in 6A. Well, they're not the best team in 8A. They lost to Loyola. They're not the best team in 5A. They lost to Joliet Catholic.
Yeah.
They lost to Mount Carmel, who's 8. But that doesn't matter.
No.
Because they wouldn't have to see those schools in the playoffs.
And explain, I did a little bit during the last show, explain a little bit how we do the rankings, what makes ours different, and how you can have a team who lost so many games last year come back in our preseason top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's about who we think the best team is, not who is going to win the most games. And that's why, even after Maine South lost their first 2 games last year, we had to start moving them back up in the rankings because you could tell that after those first 2 games, they were one of the best 10 teams in the state.
Yep.
Arguably, they were the best team in the state again by the time this season ended.
Arguably.
And it would have been very interesting to see if they got another shot at Riley O'Toole and company.
Yeah.
Let's go play an exhibition game after the state title games on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to me, I think this is one of those where I don't even know if Providence is better than they were last year, but they definitely have an easier road to get to those necessary wins to get to the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think they're the 6A favorites.
And the thing that I know a lot of people say is you have a lot of 11-0 or not 11-0 but 9-0 teams are in the Fox Valley conferences and Fox and Valley and other teams in the Upstate 8 and look at their record. How can you compare Providence to them?
Right.
But just because Providence's record has been bad, especially like last year, just because it was bad, you have to compare who they played.
Right.
How many wins did their opponents have? That's a big deal.
Right. If you trade Providence's schedule with some of the other 6A teams that made a run to the semifinals, they'd probably go 7-2 last year.
Without a doubt.
Take a quick break, and when we come back, start talking about how Providence is going to get back there to not just the playoffs, but potentially title number 10. As always, at Skylar iPrep, at Eric iPrep. Check out the message boards. Let us know what you're thinking about what we're saying. Tell Eric how wrong he is because he loves that. And we'll be back with more Celtic talk here on IllinoisPrep.com. Welcome back in IllinoisPrep.com with Eric Seals. When I think of the Catholic schools, I think of grinded out power running games and then shut down defenses. And our friends at Rivals tell us that Ryan Ward is the best offensive lineman in the state and the second best prospect overall in the state behind the great Tommy Shutt from Glenbard West. You have to think when you have a road grader like that, 6'6", 270 for a high school kid.
Dude was huge.
I mean,
I'm only 5'9". Any running back would love to run behind him. And obviously the fact that he's going to Iowa behind Jordan Walsh from last year, he's definitely got some things going for him.
And not like when you have that one elite guy, that's like, this guy can handle pretty much anybody in the state one-on-one. That means with our other linemen, if we're going to, sweep left, we can double team some people, and open up holes. And I think that Ward, if Joliet, Providence Catholic makes a run, he's probably going to be their offensive MVP. Even though he won't get it because he's not going to be putting up those counting stats.
True.
They're going to get it done. Just like we talked about, you mentioned Jordan Walsh. I mean, that offense definitely wasn't a high-flying passing offense last year. It was get the ball to Borello and run behind
Jordan Walsh. Run right behind him. Yeah.
And so I think that schedule a little easier. And I think the teams, we're talking about 6A being kind of soft. I don't think there's many 6A. I mean, in comparison to 5A, 7A.
Not even saying soft, because I know already you're going to get some nice responses about that. My thing about it is, it doesn't seem like, in 5A, you have Joliet Catholic, you have Montini dominating all the time for the last 100 years. 7A, you have your East St. Louis, Wheaton South. 8A, you've been having Maine South, Mount Carmel. You have certain teams that are just always there. 6A has kind of been a shuffle. Some people like that, some people don't. So, when it comes to 6A, it's almost kind of like, who's got the edges here? Who's going to have that team that's going to, beat everybody else out?
And I think Providence is so physical that I think they can wear down most of the, because you either have to be more talented than a team like Providence, or you have to have a lot of depth where you can keep rotating reliable people in because they're going to pound you. Ryan Ward is going to wear out whoever that lineman is he's across from.
And, I mean, both of them.
Yeah, right.
Realistically.
So most people say D lineman get double teamed, Ryan Ward gets double teamed.
Yeah, I mean, he has he has a long wingspan, so he should be pretty good at keeping people off of him.
So I'm gonna put it out there, Providence, and again, I can definitely change it because we haven't seen the season yet.
I can change it.
Providence 6A state champs. What say you?
I'll give them runner-ups.
Runner-up. Okay.
Yeah.
So who you got?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there right now.
You got the mystery team.
The mystery team. I can't agree with you.
Yeah, that's true. Because then you couldn't be right unless I was also right.
Nonetheless, they're going to be there. I think. Yes, especially with 6A, you got a pretty good chance.
Although, here's one thing that we read about, and we'll talk about this team coming up in our previews, East St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. You want to know what my mystery team is? I'll stop you right there. My mystery team is going to be a team that wasn't in 6A before because all the new rules and regulations and people going up and down, which we still have to look into much deeper. So that's going to be my mystery team.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the interesting thing as the season plays out. When you see teams, obviously, you need a certain number of teams to qualify, and then you go highest to lowest in terms of enrollment. So it's a soft cap. It's not like if you have 1,200 kids or lower, you're in 3A, and above 1,200 you're in 4A. It's about how many teams have that 5-win mark. And so it'll be interesting to see if there is a team that slides down a class that makes that impact, just like how Simeon we thought would be in 8A and make a run to the title game last year and ended up in 7A. So
which would have changed everything. Yeah.
So that'll be, I think, the biggest subplot to the entire state. Each individual class will have their own subplots, but something that's going to impact just about everyone is going to be that enrollment number that determines the cutoffs for all these classes. That'll do it here for the Providence Catholic preseason preview. Next time we'll be talking team number 8 with Eric Seals. I'm Skylar King. You're watching IllinoisPrep.com.